Not too long ago, I was terrified of bikes. I'd had a few bad experiences in the past that meant that anytime I got around bikes or even spent time around people who were talking about biking, I'd start to feel panicky and my throat would start to get tight. It took time and exposure, but if you told me in 2010 that one day I'd bike across the country of Turkey, I would have laughed you out of the room. But here we are, getting to the end of our incredible 2-month tour across Asia Minor, and I was hooked.
Last time, we left the city of Van, biked around the massive lake and over the shoulder of Mount Ararat. We landed in the town of Iddir.
We only had a few days to make it to the city of Kars so we could catch a flight back home to the States. So we were biking out of Iddir in the heat of the day. Randomly, in the middle of kind of deserty, rocky area, there's the city forest. And there's everything we want when we're man, it's really hot. I wish we had a place to rest. We've got hammocks that are already set up. There's picnic areas. There is water all around to keep it cool. There's a restaurant. There's cold drinks. There's shade. They have their flags up for Pride. Isn't that nice?
While route planning for this section, we had seen something on Google Maps called a Salt Therapy Center. It was built in an old salt mine, and we had to go check it out. We didn't actually expect the entire mountain to be made of salt. There wasn't much therapy going on, but the inside was pleasantly cool on an otherwise hot day. This cave, this mine, this cavern is huge.
Then it was off to find a campsite.
We had noticed an area on the map labeled Rainbow Hills.
It looked like there weren't a lot of buildings around, so we thought maybe we could camp there for the night. I mean, it looks like campsites as far as the eye can see.
It's hilly and colorful and really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's Turkey.
The town of Tuzluca even had a store that sold alcohol, a rare find in rural eastern Turkey, so we were able to enjoy a cold beer with dinner. We had read about a remote Armenian church that may or may not exist a few kilometers from our route, so we took a detour to see if we could find it.
We kind of underestimated how far out this place was. When the road ran out, we ditched our bikes and kept walking, but we seriously considered turning around more than once.
Hey Chris, where are we?
Your guess is as good as mine. We are heading to a place called Kalisi.
Kilise.
It used to be 5 churches. Now there's the remains of one Armenian church. Yeah, the map shows that there's a dirt road, and
There's not
so much. Right now we're walking in an irrigation ditch because it's the easiest.
Yeah, there's the remains of a road up there, but it's still definitely not bikeable.
When we turned a corner and finally saw the remains of the church, we knew we had made the right decision to keep hiking.
This church is the last remaining structure of an Armenian monastery with a somewhat murky history. It was probably established around 1033, according to inscriptions within the church.
It sits on a spectacular and very steep gorge. At one time, there were 5 churches plus cookhouses, dormitories, and a cemetery.
The monastery was probably abandoned after the Mongol invasions in the 13th century, and then in use again when this region came under Russian control in the 19th century.
In the late 1920s, the Turks regained the territory and it was again abandoned.
An Armenian archaeologist photographed the monastery in 1920 when it was still intact. By 1959, 4 of the 5 churches had been destroyed, with only the Church of St. Sargis left.
Then it was time to turn around, grab our bikes, and head back towards the ancient city of Ani.
Fox! Fox, Chris! Fox! So, our last stop on this tour basically is Ani, which is a really cool place that we'll tell you about. The maps, of course, are old. Basically, it's brought us to the middle of nowhere with a really faint road that we think goes, and it's kind of a commitment because it goes down a canyon. We're gonna try it because we're looking for a place to camp anyway, so it's probably, hopefully, there'll be a good place to camp down there, even if it doesn't go through. Got anything else to add?
Wish us luck.
Okay.
The road to Ani when Ani was...
Like the original road.
Yeah. So there's a fence, but there is a road going up the other side, at least starting. Who knows where they run into each other. Also, there's cool caves above you. Hey everyone, success.
Well, we don't know if the road goes through. We're pretty sure it does.
It looks, I've got a good feeling.
But we found a really good campsite in a pretty cool place.
We're looking up at the ruins of Ani, and there's a nice little creek running just past our tent where we were able to rinse off, get some of the sweat, some of the salt off of ourselves.
We were so salty.
Now we feel great, and it's time for dinner.
Hey Chris, what are we doing?
We are exploring ancient churches carved into rocks across the valley from the Ani archaeological site.
And right above our campsite. Can you see the bikes down there?
They're right there somewhere.
Yeah. Ani is a ruined medieval Armenian city overlooking the border between Turkey and Armenia.
It's often referred to as the city of 1,001 churches. The earliest record of it was in the 5th century AD.
Because it was situated at the crossroads of many trade routes, including the Silk Road, it rose to prominence in the 10th century and was the capital of the Bagratid Armenian Kingdom until 1045.
At its height, Ani had a population of over 100,000 people and was one of the world's largest cities. The largest standing building in Ani is the cathedral.
If this architecture looks familiar, it's because it shares many characteristics with the Gothic style, which wouldn't arise in Europe until over a century later.
the people using this road. A walker, a horse rider, and a tour bus. And us. There's a bunch of little tar bubbles on the road.
Yeah, and the tar gets stuck on your tires.
And then
The side of the road is covered in tiny gravel. And so, I don't know if you can hear it. This happens.
we pave our tires.
We are at the Katerina Sarai Hotel Katerina Sarai. Yeah.
Got it.
And the Cars Castle is behind us, right here. It's our final destination, and now we are packing and prepping and cleaning and doing all the things we need to do to go home. And
Lots of cleaning. Lots of cleaning.
yeah, Cars is cool. Hey Chris, what are we doing?
We are climbing the road to the Cars Castle
On the solstice.
on the solstice.
Yay.
And our bikes are packed.
Woohoo.
Hey Hillary, what are we doing?
Watching to see if our bikes make it on the plane. We haven't seen them yet, but I'm sure it's fine.
We eventually made it back home and back to real life.
We're incredibly grateful that we had the chance to bike tour in Turkey and experience its history, its natural beauty, food, and its warm and kind and generous people.
Every day was an adventure.
But we're also hooked on bike touring and making videos about our travels. We've already got our next trip planned, so if you'd like to continue to watch our bike touring adventures, we'd love it if you would subscribe.
It really helps us out.
Until then, happy trails!